Oh, that's Candy Duffer featuring Dave Stewart. Hey, welcome everyone. This is Groove Swing Speaks. Thank you for tuning in. We come to you each and every Thursday. Let me turn on my camera.
Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday. Thanks. Tuesdays. We have so many programs here, but every Tuesday, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please tell your friends, okay? Go to Studio W. Buzz Buzzz Studio W. Buzz. Hey, welcome again. We've got my panelists here.
Good evening. Good
Clayton,
evening. Good evening, everyone. Hola,
okay?
sisters.
I think there are a few people on this panel. I mean, on this broadcast that know you, Mr. Brown. You very popular, sir.
Well. I try not to be, but hola to our sisters, swing.
Yes,
Yes. Hey, Tammy. How are you?
Hola.
right. Hey,
Good to see
Craig.
you.
I'm sorry. Go on. All right, that's brother Robert Hicks there. Okay. Hey, bring down mic number one. Okay, Craig.
Craig Hunter, Virginia Union, virtual alumni graduate chapter. Also went over at Virginia Union as an undergrad student.
Right. And then we got brother Hicks. Brother Hicks is with us as usual.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Feldman Robert Hicks went over spring 1996 at MIT, currently part of the Northern Virginia graduate chapter, and just happy to be here. What's grooving and swinging out there, people?
We're grooving and swinging. Yes. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk to uh, Tammy Russell Meadows, Reverend Tammy, better known, and Patricia Edwards. So I'm going to let my brother Clayton do the honors. Would you please introduce this esteemed lady?
Yes, and before I do that, I'd like to introduce myself to those that do not know me out there. I forgot to do that in the beginning. I am Clayton Brown. I'm also the younger brother of William. For those that do not know, I am the current president of Virginia State University Virtual Alumni Chapter, where I went to school at VSU along with Tammy.
That's right.
Our
Told you.
speakers. Yes, good to see you, my sister.
You see, did you see the head movement, that head and neck movement there?
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's Tammy for you.
Trojan chapter.
But
Okay.
but but that's right. They better understand because we have a couple of Panthers in here, Tammy. So we have to watch ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You
But
hey, watch out for those Panthers. I'm telling you right now. Yeah.
greetings to all my brothers out there and the sisters of Swing Five Swing Social Fellowship Incorporated. And I'd like to introduce you to our esteemed speaker, Reverend Tammy Russell Meadows, which I had the pleasure to go to school with at VSU, Virginia State University. And back in the day, we had strong union, we had strong fellowship, and the sisters, the black and white community was strong. Let me tell you that, and it still is to this day. So, greetings, my sister,
How
Tammy.
you doing? How you doing, Clayton?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's good to see you. It's always good to see our alumni out there and see that you have become a lady of the cloth.
Yes, yes. One of the best things I've ever done.
That is the best thing.
Yes. But
And
I
I
didn't do it. God did it. God called me to
absolutely,
preach. But I went
absolutely,
to Shaw for divinity school. I went to Shaw.
that's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Hey, Tammy, turn your mic up just a little bit. Turn your mic up. We want to hear everything you have to say. So, what else would you like to share with us about Reverend Tam?
Well, let me read a little bit of the bio that I know about Tammy. Is she went to Virginia State University, one of the best HBCUs in the
Yes,
nation.
sir.
Oh
So for
Lord.
yes, I will. They know that. They know that. That's why they always came to
Okay.
visit us. That's
Yes.
why they always came to visit us, right?
I know that's right.
That's right.
That's
Everybody
exactly right.
wanted to come to Virginia State University. So
Well,
let me share this about our sister, Reverend Tammy Russell Meadows, a beautiful lady that I know of. And she always had the same character, that helping, loving character, as a sister should be. and she always carried herself that way. And these are the facts. Service oriented Christian leader specializing in ministerial leadership and community uplift, focused on transforming congregations with fresh, engaging solutions to renew and revitalize communities. And she has a multitude of skills from civic leadership to church administration. Her education is vast and Master of Divinity, Shaw University, Divinity School, Raleigh, North Carolina, Bachelor of Arts, Virginia State University, yes, Petersburg, Virginia. So, with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker, Tammy Russell Meadows, and please, you will be blessed by what she has in store for you. Sister, take it.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. I
You're
listen.
welcome.
I hail to you. So I got. Listen, I'm so honored to be here. This was my second attempt. So, fellowman William, I appreciate you for revisiting my time on the air with you.
My
And wait,
pleasure.
question.
Yes,
I did not know that this was your brother, that your biological brother.
yes, yes. I am stuck with him for life.
That's it.
Yes, I love him. So this is my oldest brother, which I have six brothers, one sister, and we're still here. God bless.
Wow. Listen, I had no idea that, but I did tell him this though. I told him from what I remember about you and what I knew about you from college, you were just always such a nice guy.
Thank you.
Always such a nice guy. And I told him I didn't
Oh
know you.
man.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
didn't know your listen. I told him I didn't know your mother, but listen, blessings to her because she did a wonderful job with you. I don't know about William though. Well,
Thank you. I
I'm gonna tell
received
you.
that, sister. I received that. Thank you. That was for
I
me.
bet you he got a lot of whoopings. Did he get a lot of whoopings?
Well,
We're not going to go there. We're not going to do this.
I'm going to let him tell his story.
You know,
That,
it's funny you said that because I was telling Clay it was a couple of weeks ago about I got a whooping for doing the slightest thing. I should have been punished for it. You know, actually, it was child abuse.
he needs a hug.
See?
He needs a big hug. Somebody reach out to him.
Hey, how did you guess that I got a bunch of whoopings? How did you guess
You
that?
said you were the oldest.
Oh yeah, I took one. I took a whole
Right.
bunch of them for the team. That's what it
And see,
was.
because I'm the
That's what happened.
youngest. I'm the youngest of three girls. And so, their life story is way different than mine.
Of
So,
course.
so the oldest, parents are learning on the oldest.
You're
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
That's exactly
You
right.
know. So
As far as Clayton being a gentleman, yep, he's a carbon copy. I taught him everything he knows about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
just
Wow.
like an older
Yeah.
sibling, just like an
I
older
owe my life
sibling.
to him.
I didn't go. I didn't.
Yes.
Look, I didn't go that far. Okay. All right.
Wow.
Older siblings always take responsibility for our success.
Well,
Absolutely.
They always
he
do.
gonna take responsibilities for my falls too. Then.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
I guess so. Everything. But now let me allow you to do this because we have another beautiful sister on with us as well. And then we're going to go around the panel because we have questions for you, uh, Dr. Reverend Tammy. Okay. I don't
I,
know you're a doctor yet.
I
Huh?
received that. I received that. Speak that into my life.
Oh, I just did. I did. Doctor. That has a ring to it. Dr. Reverend Tammy
Sounds
Russell.
good. Sounds
Reverend
good.
Doctor. Reverend Doctor. Yeah.
Reverend.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you a story about that.
Okay, we're going to get to that as well. And let me introduce to the panel Patricia Edwards graduated from WSSU in 1969, elementary teacher for 35 years, teacher of the year 1999, adult ed evenings 1971, coordinator for Stop the Violence in London, Connecticut. That is Connecticut, isn't it?
Yes,
Served on the board of Child and Family, charter member of New London, NC. You need to tell us what is NCNW.
National Council of Negro Women.
Okay, president of the sickle cell anemia, 1976 through 1980. Rotary Unsung Hero Award in 2000. Who's who among American teachers? Now, this is incredible. 2004 to 2005 and 2005 to 2006. Host of Insight Gospel Program, WNLC. Now, what is that acronym?
That's in New London radio station.
Oh, okay. Wow, that is really, really
All
cool.
right.
Okay, for 10 years, Vice President, Women's Auxiliary, Connecticut State Missionary Baptist Convention for 9 years. Ladies, welcome to the set. Welcome to the set. I'm
Thank
give you a little brief synopsis of what Groove Swing Speaks is. And I know I mentioned to Tammy, or did I mention to you, Pat, that the whole idea for us to come together as grooves and swings around the country, and share our ideas, share whether it's business, it could be art, it could be entertainment, it could be anything. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, preachers, architects, and bring that information to a platform where we can disseminate it to the world. Okay. And this broadcast will be up in the next 24 hours or less. And you can find us on studiow.buzz, studiow.buzz. We also have a brand new YouTube channel, and that's Studio W the Buzz. We have Facebook, Studio W underscore Buzz. Let's see, Instagram, X, and let's see what else. Google Play, Apple CarPlay, our apps. For Apple, go to William Worldwide or click the links that I sent, William Worldwide. Android is simply Studio W. Man, how do we keep up with all this stuff? Spotify and so forth. But anyway, I'm going to start with uh, Sister Patricia Edwards. I've got a question to ask you, and I'm going directly to the who's who among American teachers. And tell us a little bit about that. How did you get recognized to do that?
Well, up here, when I was teaching, there in my class, you have students that can nominate you. But because I taught kindergarten, when the person got to the middle school and high school, that's when she nominated me both
Mm,
times.
wow.
She thought that I was a very good teacher, and those are the ones that get nominated.
Okay.
And you never find out who it is until you have, I kind of looked around, and she was still in our neighborhood in the town. And I asked her one day, because she was a part of the cotillion that we did. And I said, "Did you put my name in?" And she gave a nice smile. She said, "Yes, I did." So I felt really good that she thought that I was a good teacher, because you have a lot think that you're not a good teacher.
Right, right.
Now, are you two still in touch today?
I see her once in a while. She's still in the area. She's at the hospital now, and she's working there, doing very good.
Great, great, great. It's always nice to be in touch with some of your students and students to be in touch with their teachers. I stay in touch with one of my teachers from college, and she's kind of frail now, but it's always nice to stop at our house every now and then and have somebody let you in and you can say a few kind words to her and let her know how much they motivated you in life. So that was nice.
I'm sure she appreciated that too. Patricia, I know it made you feel good to know that you had people out here that really appreciated what you brought to them in their lives, because in many ways, I'm sure you helped mold their lives and help them along whatever they wanted to go or wish in life. Uh, and let's go to let's we can go around the panel, because we have to uh, share with both of these wonderful sisters here. Tammy, tell us about how did you get into being a minister or pastor? What led to that?
Life. And God called me. Always, I knew that I was different. I always knew that there was something weird about me. I always had this certain spirit about me. I ran as long as I could. So when people say they run, they really, really do.
Yeah.
Y'all, let me tell you what you've done. Y'all messed around and y'all got three church girls up here. because you know Tiffany is a minister, and so is Sister Founder. So y'all got three church girls. We might just set it off up in here. So don't
Set
don't,
it
don't
off.
play with it.
Set
Don't
it
play
off.
with
Well,
it.
that's what you were invited
Don't play
on
with
to.
it now.
Come
Cause
on with
listen,
it.
if I take it there, they got my back now.
I,
Well,
So
I
we
want some of that.
don't play with it.
That's it. But I'd like to say, Reverend Tammy, definitely thank you for, and Miss Patricia, Miss Tiffany, thank you for being on here today. How did you know that the ministry was basically your purpose?
Listen, I, I have been blessed in so many times. I kept just getting all these miracles from God, everything, you know. And then when I got in trouble, I always knew how to pray. So when I was 6 years old, I would go through the neighborhood praying for the old people. And I
mm,
actually really thought that I could heal their arthritis. And you know, they were like, Tim, come on, Tammy can pray for you. So I've been praying all my life. Church is all
That's
I
it.
know. And so as I got older, you know, I just had this feeling and this yearning. And so this is the true story. So when people really do have the calling and they're called by God, this is my witness. I did wake up one morning and everything looked new.
Right on.
And
Come
I
on.
knew then that it was over for
Come on.
me. I had
Come
to
on. Come on.
I
Set
had
it
to
off.
I just had to surrender and give it to God, you know, and
Yeah.
so
Set it
and
off.
then listen, so God called me to preach, but being a woman in ministry, I just wanted to make sure that I was proper and correct. I needed to study. So I needed to study to show myself approved. I needed to study so that when I speak to you, I know what I'm talking about. So
mm,
I went to Shaw University to get my Master's of Divinity for that.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so that's my story. And so we went to some big event. There was a big event in Raleigh, and there was a lot of other purple and gold in Raleigh. And we went to this event. And so for once, I finally had my. I said, you know what? I started putting my collar on because that's a big step in ministry when you get your collar and you know you can put your collar on. So it was preachers night that somebody had this big thing, and I went to sit beside Raquel. Y'all know my Raleigh grad sister Raquel. And when I sat there beside her, Raquel said, finally, you got something that you look right in.
Yeah. Yeah. Sister Tammy, I can relate to what you're saying. And I'm happy that we do have sisters and brothers that's answering the call. But you sisters are doing that. You're hearing God's voice and you say, hey, he's speaking to me. My father is giving me direction. I better
Mhm,
listen.
mhm.
And if all of us did that, we wouldn't have a worry. But our Lord Jesus knew that we were going to follow his lead.
Right.
We're
He knew
stubborn,
it.
hard headed,
Right.
but
Mm.
I'm telling you this: I'm doing my best to do my part in the kingdom. And as long as everybody do their part, we're gonna be all right.
Right.
And
Amen.
thank you, sisters.
I want to.
Set it off, Tammy.
She's
Set it
already
off.
said it all. I want to hear Patricia. Patricia is also a minister. Okay, and then we want to go over to our sister Tiffany over there as well. Got a question to
I,
ask because I've heard from male preachers. Well, a woman shouldn't be in the pulpit. There are some preachers, and one of my the church I used to belong to in California. Uh, Going back 3 preachers ago, because I was there when the last two, one that I attended, pastor I attended, he's still there, but there was a pastor before him that's retired. The pastor before him, I was adamant about not letting a woman preach. Would he refused to let him in the pulpit, what I think is absolutely wrong. And I think that man sometimes misquote the Bible and misinterpret the Bible for whatever reason, whether it's on purpose or to just ignorance, out of ignorance. Have you, either you, let's start with you, Patricia, have you heard that? Have you had any challenges that way?
first of all, I'm going to tell you that I ran for my ministry.
Hmm.
Like Tammy said, I didn't want any part of it because I had seen it was all men, men, men. So I um, I was in Las Vegas visiting my girlfriend, and Her husband was a pastor. And that day, when we came back from the retreat, we went over to
Mm.
their pastor's house. And he looked at me and he talked to me like he was talking at me, but he was looking past me like he was looking at something else. And he said, "You are being called." But that night, I was saying no, I could not sleep. That angel tossed with me for about 4 or 5 hours. And once I said, all right, then I went to sleep.
Oh boy.
I was fighting it, but
Mm-hmm.
once I gave in, they let me sleep. And I was a different person. But I have heard about that, pastors not wanting women preachers in the pulpit. At my church a long time ago, they had to stand down on the side at a podium. But our new pastor, he didn't go that way. His
Hmm.
mother was an evangelist, so that we were able to stand in the pulpit. And another thing is that when a man preaches, he has one way of coming. When a
Yeah.
female preaches, she has a little niceness to it and she gets down to the core of what's really happening. She
Okay.
can, I'm sorry to say it, but she can reach more people than a man can at times. It depends on what it is.
I
But
believe
my
it.
pastor, he's even across the board. He
Okay.
takes us all.
That's
Hmm.
right.
Okay. I can certainly appreciate that. Tiffany,
Yes, sir.
yes, jump right on in.
So you
And you,
asking the same question?
yes,
Like,
the same question.
um, did I run? No, I didn't run. I've always I'm like with Sister Tammy. I was part of the when I was coming up. I was part of the weird or um I never could fit in. That was my issue when I was in school. I could never fit in with
Mm.
the other girls. You know what I mean? Like I used to get picked on all the time, and I didn't. I never understood why. Like I never understood why, even until like into my adulthood. You know, I never said anything to anybody out the way or did anything, but I would always get talked about. And I never understood. But I remember one time I went to a service and the preacher there said that I was going to be different. He said that was a word, different. And that's another reason why I also got, you know, drawn to swing because they're to be different. And but yeah, I didn't run. I did my initial sermon last year, back in March, and Sister Tammy and Sister Jewel, they came and supported me, and yeah. Now I'm from my generation because you know I'm 34, so it's a different generation. So you have a whole lot more female preachers now,
That's right.
and for me, I haven't had an issue, you know, with being able to be able to speak somewhere. So I can't say that's part of my story. But what I will say is, and I'm sure that these two sisters they can agree that it's very challenging at times. Like sometimes when you hit some hard moments in life, you be like, God, I didn't ask for this. I don't even want it really. Like you can take it back. Like I'll speak for myself. I'll be like, you can take it back. I didn't call for this. You know, because it comes with so much, I say unnecessary, but it's really necessary warfare. And so like
Yes.
a lot of stuff just hits you left and right. And you be like, what is it now? You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but I realized all of the stuff that I went through, you know, through school and through adulthood, that was all part of the process. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm kind of used to this, you know, this coming or whatever. But at times it gets tiresome. I ain't gonna lie. It gets tiresome. It gets a little burdensome. And sometimes you be like, I really don't even want it. Like you can give this to somebody else. But there is a scripture in the Bible, and I'm paraphrasing that whom he called, he also justified. He
Right.
already predestined us. So, we can say all day we don't want it, you know what I mean, because of whatever, but at the same time, we gonna end up coming right back and be like, you know what? All right, I see like you not letting up. So let me just, you know what I mean? Because we do have a choice. We can either go back or we can move forward. And I like to use our vehicles. There's more, you have more space in your windshield than you do in your rear view.
That is
So that
true.
means you have more to look forward to.
Great.
Word.
I'm looking at a picture that was taken at my church about a month ago, where we had some students from Virginia Union Seminary come to do the 7 day
Oh yeah.
uh,
Last words.
last words.
Last
Correct.
word.
Thank you. And there
Mm-hmm.
were 4 ladies and 3 men. So it seems like now in seminary, there are just as number of
Hmm.
women that they are in men in seminary. And I don't know if that was the case when you ladies went to school or not, but I wasn't there when they did it last year, and they were saying it was more females that participated in that than men on last year's program. Have any one of you ever participated in a program such as this, Seven's Last Words?
I've done it 4 times,
Yeah, me. Yeah, we have.
Um,
but there are more female ministers at my church than male ministers.
Hmm.
Okay.
So my pastor has to use the female ministers a lot.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's
Yes,
really good because then you get both perspectives. And I think, and now let me ask you now, you mentioned something, Patricia, about um, uh, men or male versus female preachers, their delivery is different.
yes,
Would you say that that has uh, something to do with the woman naturally is more nurturing uh,
true.
in in a sense. And do you think that that transitions over, or when you're speaking, does that come out in a nurturing way? You know, just like we all had mothers, and fathers. Our fathers spoke to us differently. It felt different, you know, whether you loved them or not. Okay, and your mother spoke differently. Okay, and she was more like, you say, your father would provide, and your mother would provide. However, your mom was there to cook, make sure you had to go to the doctor. She was there, and the conversations were different, and I could see how that could transcend or translate into a preacher or a speaker. Say you're a public speaker or you're a motivational speaker. Okay, it's going to come in differently, and I think it's perfectly fine with me. So I don't know whether these guys are going back, trying to take us back 100 years or so, and some are, and some are. But I think that the motivation is of one of a selfish nature, and that's just my opinion. Uh,
Yeah.
Tammy, you also run an organization. Your ministry goes beyond the pulpit. Would you like to tell us about that?
So yes, I'm the owner and CEO of Rustmade Consultants,
Yes.
where I own 2 group homes and I have a day program. I'm a contractor with the state and with the government for recipients that Medicaid recipients. I love what I do. You're absolutely correct. It is a ministry. It's such a rewarding thing for me that God blessed me with. Listen, it's been a rough road along the way, but I've been doing this since for 13 years, 14 years now, and so it's and that's what it is. So we provide services to children and adults with special needs, and we specialize in autism.
You know something, Tammy? I commend all of you sisters for being women of God and answering the call, because that's what it comes down to. You did what God asked you to do. You were being obedient, like we all should. It's a shame that most of the time the women step up quicker than the men. You have to
Hmm.
call a thing a thing. So, but with that said, we had a sermon Sunday, and it was about the woman. She broke the jar of oil and poured it on Jesus' head. It's the things that the women do and they're calling. It's specialized. They don't have to say a word. Don't e- Like the pastor said, they never even called her name. Just woman broke the jar.
That's right.
But all the men was mad. Well, you could have sold that for a
So
year's
that,
wages.
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
right.
But that woman did what she had to
Right.
do. It's a
Mhm.
calling.
Mhm.
It was
If
real.
God tells you to do it, it's best that you do it, no
Amen.
matter who it came from.
Amen.
And
That's
I'm
right.
so thankful that you women are women of God that chose to listen and be obedient because that word got to go forth no matter who it comes to. Men, just do what is told because I'm sure that God is tapping on your shoulders as well, saying, look
Mhm.
here, don't let the women do all the work.
Absolutely. I tell you something else. If the women stepped away from the church, man,
Yeah,
it will be an echo in the building.
I don't
you're
even
absolutely
I don't even
correct.
know what to think of that.
Okay,
I,
and so
It's a fact.
that's why I'm getting back to these chauvinists.
Judgment.
I'm calling them chauvinists, right? That wants the woman to participate, do the work, give her money, uh, be on this
Yes.
program in church, but you can't come in the pulpit. What kind of garbage is that?
I don't even know what to
It
say.
doesn't make any sense. And is there anything in the Bible, ladies, that will preclude or say women should not preach? Uh,
No,
No,
no, it's
Dorcas
not.
was a preacher.
Come on now. So where do these guys get this from?
Well,
Okay, there she is. Okay,
well,
we had lost
It's,
Tammy for a second.
it's a
Oh,
man's world.
it's a man's world.
It
They
is.
say it's a man's world that men think it's a man's world, but without the women pushing the man, it,
It's crazy.
it won't happen.
well, it's absolutely crazy because it's the woman that reproduces the man.
That's right. We
So
wouldn't
That's
be here, would
right.
we?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
even
you
know.
think
Like I
about
said,
it.
some conversations I choose to do. I'm tapping.
That's for a whole different one.
And,
I can't fight that fight.
and any mothers out there, if you got a son like that, bring him in the house and hit him with the wooden spoon. Yeah, something, shake him up by the collar, do something here. Wow. But
Well, there
anyway,
needs to be some other ways of doing the discipline, but I'm pretty much just saying it right here. There are ways to encourage them to rethink their thinking.
Yeah.
right, absolutely. And continuing around the panel. And let's go back to Sister Patricia over here. Now, Sister Patricia, you've done so many things in your life. I just read your impressive resume.
Because I'm
And tell
old.
us, huh?
Because I'm up in age.
And look at cut that out. Cut it out. Cut it out.
So is he.
See, Craig. Do you know you and I, I don't condone violence, right?
Don't be
But
mad
you are
at the
sitting, well,
truth,
you are
my
sitting
brother.
right next to me. Okay, in studio. I'll be careful if I were you.
Don't be mad at it's the truth.
Hey,
You should be blessed that you're at that age, man, that you
what
can
age?
still move around. You're at Social Security age, aren't you? You get that check.
Craig. Okay, you know that's two times. Okay, all right. Watch it,
Okay.
bro.
You're messing up my blessing. I was listening to the sisters. Sister, we're
It,
gonna get back to you
will you please?
because they are
Yeah,
messing up my
talk to your brother over here.
sister Patricia.
Okay.
Please,
Yes.
because hey, enlighten me, sister.
Yeah. How does your ministry go beyond the pulpit? Is that the question? That was the question I had asked. Is that what you?
Is that the question you want to know?
No, no.
Um,
What I'm telling my brother, I rather listen to you, Tammy, and Tiffany than these characters make to me,
Oh,
because I like what you're sharing. I like what you bring it to the table because
isn't this something?
we need this. We definitely need our sisters to talk about their ministries because the fact is, what I'm trying to take away from this, brothers need to step up and start listening to God's voice. If the sisters are doing it, we that are within an earshot of what they're saying, pick up your cross too, because we got work to do.
That's
okay.
right.
God bless ministry has to go
Okay.
forth. If it's going forth through these sisters, that's a message for us as well. If you
Okay.
just go ahead, sister.
Okay. How's it go beyond the pulpit? Um, we have a food bank at our
Mhm.
church. So every Thursday, I go down there and I pack up food. Well, we really separate the food. There's another group comes in on Saturday that passes it out. That's going beyond that pulpit because we all can't be preachers in the pulpit every Sunday.
Mhm.
Right.
I have, I'm the president of the missionaries at my church, and we do a lot in the community. I tell them it can't be just at our church. You have to take it out to where the people are. And
That's
one
right.
thing that I did start was that every time we did last year and at Christmas time, if someone lost a loved one during the year, we went out and bought throw blankets and gave it to everyone who had lost someone during the year. We gave out 46 blankets that Sunday. And then I took it further. There were other people who didn't belong in our church and other states that I knew had lost someone. I sent the blankets to them with the card because God doesn't, everyone cannot preach in
That's
that
right.
pulpit. We're there to take his message out to the people who needs it. It's not necessarily all the people in the church that needs it, it's the ones who are outside that need it. We're to bring them into the fold. And I look at it this way: when I was working, I didn't look at it as a job. Once I became a minister, I looked at it as a minister, how I wanted to be treated, how I wanted to treat those persons from a standpoint of being a minister. You're
Right.
ministering when you're doing a job, whether you know
Yes.
it or not.
Oh
You
yeah.
got to get the work done. You're doing ministry work. And so a lot of people that I work in the preschool, I would tell them, you're ministering to these little kids because they're going to remember the good and the bad, what happens to them.
That's right.
So therefore, you're going to minister to them the way you will want someone to minister to you when you were at that age. That's how I look at it from a standpoint of not being in that pulpit every single Sunday, because that's not my pulpit. That's my pastor's pulpit. I'm
And
there to be a servant for God to do what he asked me to do.
yes, ma'am.
And I
Absolutely.
just take it out. I get tired, just like my sister said. Woe's me, this is coming my way. I didn't ask for this here. I didn't ask for the top. I didn't do nothing wrong. But if you don't do what God wants us to do, then what would he put on us that we don't want? I look at it that way. He's
Absolutely.
called us to do this. It could be worse.
And I commend you for that because I agree that our ministries come in different ways. Because I may not be able to be the speaker that you are, or but I use that example of the woman with the alabaster jar. She showed her ministry through her actions, and that's what I was trying to say through that. It's not about being in the pulpit because some people they're not cut out for it. But I can show you the same Christ-like love through my actions without saying a word. And my brother here next to me, Craig Hunter, one of the best guys I ever know. And he just happened to be my groove brother from the Panther chapter. Now we work a lot together on community service projects, including going to the brothers' yards and have to clean up everything because our brother is in need. Going to the food pantries. I was just with, and shout out to Rock, Sister Rock, who's on the back end of the studio Buzz, and also Sister D Best. We were all together about a week ago down at the Hope Center, food distribution. And the sisters and the brothers was collaborating, just making the community feel better. But back to my brother Craig over here, you can always count on him to do his ministry. My brother Robert Hicks. And that's what I'm so proud about being a groove and being the brothers or the sisters swing by swing because we're doing the same things. We're making the community better. We happen to have some talented sisters and brothers that are using their gifts. And I appreciate what you're doing. I, I may be talking a lot, but that's what radio is all about. But I want to give my flowers to the sisters that's online,
Oh,
Patricia,
bless your heart. Thank you, brother.
Tammy, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Just keep on ministering, and I hope and pray that the Lord continue to give you the strength to keep on doing it. And to
Amen.
my brother Craig and Robert as well.
Amen.
Thank you.
Tiffany, you want to follow up?
Yes. The question I believe was how like going beyond the pulpit or beyond the church, ministry wise.
Yes.
Um, Mine is just through talking to people, just having conversations. It doesn't always have to be, preach, 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 you know what I mean? But it's more so about my character. You know, that's what people are going to see anyway.
Right.
They want to see your character. They want to see, because sometimes you can, as they say, judge a book by its cover. Sometimes you can. And I think part of that comes from having a spirit of discernment and life experience. So I would say I would carry out my ministry just by having conversations with people because I've heard people say, especially guys, because I talk to more guys than females, and guys will be like, "Man, I don't know, there's something about you that's different." And they go that word again, different. They always say it's something about you. You're not like these other girls or other females out here. I don't know. It's just something about you that's different.
That's what sanctified means, set apart.
That's
Amen.
facts. And so again, like I said, I just carry it throughout conversation somehow or another. Like God will come up, whether I bring it up or they bring it up. And we just kind of go from there. Now, I admit I'm not perfect, never will be. That's not my goal in life. I'm not trying to be. But
Right.
what I am trying to do is be better than my past.
Right.
Yes, I slip and fall, make mistakes, the whole nine. I admit that. But I want to be better and I want to help somebody else be better than what they were, than what they are presently. And so you do that by starting with conversation.
Great. All right, Robert, come on, man, jump in there.
Yeah, pretty much. And the idea of whatever you have that you can bring to the people, but you never know specifically what you bring until you actually look inside of you. I believe it's Proverbs 18 and 16. Your gift will make room for you and put you in the presence of great people. The
Mm-hmm.
idea behind that is whatever you have inside, it's to be given to the people at large. The Groove Five Groove, Swing Five Swing does that every single day. Whatever it is, we have to. There's a need for the people to be understanding and knowing where we are and that we care, whatever way it could be, whether it's doing a giveaway, whether it is, say, for instance, helping out with a scholarship, if it's something, just even an encouraging word.
That's it. Come on.
Um, because you never know whatever it is, that one thing that you have and that person needed for that day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for my example, and I never knew this from before, in the sense of whenever I'm speaking with people in some way, I always get a word back saying that, you know what, your word inspired me today. It really lifted me up. And I never knew that I had that as a gift. I always would be sometimes very sarcastic. Once again, Tiffany used that word, but I'll use eccentric in the sense of just being different. But it was something about the gift that you have, anybody else has, to be able to share. Your gifts is meant to be shared, not to be
That's it.
hoarded.
You're absolutely right, my brother, because it wasn't meant for you to keep for yourself. What good is it? And it's like this network tonight. Our listeners did not know that they was going to get a little bit of the word tonight, did they? But they got blessed. Hey, uh, and that's fantastic because anytime we get a chance to share that, because I would not be ashamed of the word. So they may as well get
I'd
used
be
to that.
ashamed of the
So,
gospel.
because this panel tonight really has inspired me to open my mouth and say something. Because, like Robert said, is you got to share it. What God has spoken to you about was meant for you to share to somebody that's in need of it. This panel tonight, these sisters, the brothers on this panel tonight, we are all inspired by that. Because if I don't use my talents, I feel bad about it. So the Lord told me to step up. And like I said, myself, Craig, and my brother William here, we're starting to get more and more involved in the community service projects and let people know that we care, whether it's through the radio or whether it's physical down at the Hope Center feeding somebody. Because the fact is, if we're going to bring people up, let's bring them up and stop, you know, talking about it and not being about it.
Hmm.
And with that, like earlier, I was talking about my sister Tammy. She's always been a fantastic sister to me.
Oh,
Uh,
bless your heart.
some of the sisters I kind of got initiated up through them and with them. Uh, Sister Dr. Rowe and Gloria and Deb and I could go on and on. But those sisters are dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Evelyn, Stephanie, I can name quite a few of them.
Want to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to?
But with that said, Sister Tammy, I
Yes.
had no idea when you left Virginia State that you would become a reverend. But you
Listen,
know something?
neither did I.
Hmm.
All of us grew up a little bit more when we left Virginia State because I have been blessed with seeing some of the brothers and some of the sisters that have taken a path and started to listen. And I appreciate that. Uh, do you have a sermon throughout the month, maybe once every third Sunday, second Sunday that you preach?
So no, I'm a supply minister. I'm a supply preacher for my denomination. I'm United Church of Christ. So I never know when I'm gonna preach. I go and preach whenever they do. But when I preach, I'm one of. I've been doing this for so long now. I get better and better and better. And when you do have the word burning in your heart, I love to preach. I love the pulpit. I love, but I have to tag on with a guy, with a preacher who is more theocentric than egocentric, and that does not mind a woman coming into his pulpit. And so that works for me all the time. And so, and having said that, brothers and sisters, Thursday is National Day of Prayer. So we will be doing something. You look on our shared page, the one that the Groove Swing page together. I'm waiting for a brother from Rocky Mount to call me, and we're gonna put something out there because to see what we all are gonna do. If we're gonna do a big old thing, or if we're gonna have a brother or sister pray every hour for 30 minutes or something like that. But don't y'all think it's praying time? Do I feel that? Do I feel that it's praying time among
It's
these
always,
fellowships?
always praying time.
Listen, so I feel like it's praying time, and you're right. God sent the 12 out, and He said, "You've seen me perform all these miracles. Now you go out and do it." So, Clay,
Mm,
we touch and
yes,
agree that it is well. And you said you're
it
going
is.
out and you are
Yeah.
doing all the things that God told you to do. So you are
I'm
being
trying my
obedient to
best.
His word. Amen.
I'm trying my
Amen.
best. I'm gonna keep
Amen.
on doing
Listen,
that.
and that's a mini sermon for y'all. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
I'm gonna need all y'all address. I'm gonna send y'all an envelope. Y'all put something in it and mail it back to me.
Oh Lord. You want to preach now?
Uh, no,
Oh
I'm just. I'll be one of the trustees and be in
no, no.
charge of the family.
Okay,
All
no.
right.
But anyway, Tammy, I forgot something. I've noticed we've only known each other. We just met, along with Sister Patricia too. I noticed that you have a bubbly, upbeat attitude. Now, uh, Do you inject or insert humor into your preaching?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, 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 I do.
Well, I can understand. You had me cracking up earlier. So I said, if this, this is kind of church I want to go to. You don't want something. You want something uplifting. And speaking of ministry,
Absolutely.
speaking of ministries, I think what we're doing with Brother Robert, Sister Tiffany, uh, let's see, Latoya, I know she's studying and doing a lot of things right now, so I know she's quite busy, but she is part of this panel as well. Brother Clegg, Clayton, Mark Daniels. Um, well, I hope I sent him the invite. I'm sure I did. But anyway, um, I think what we're doing is sort of what you would call a ministry because uh, we are trying to connect grooves and swings, and we want everybody to know what grooves and swings are doing around the country. And Brother Robert, you sent out an email this week reaching out to the regional chapter or regional presidents of Groove Fi Groove and inviting them to let us know what events are they having, whether it's a fundraiser, like Clayton and Craig do. They go out and they go to food banks. They clean up streets. They do things, that a lot of people wouldn't do, and they're taking that time to do this. They could very easily just go and do their thing, whatever it is, something at home or work or playing or whatever it is. But they're taking that time to give back to the community, and I think that is absolutely admirable. And so, what my job is here, and I've taken that on, is to connect grooves and swings around the world. And the brothers and sisters here will tell you we're about education, we're about inspiring, uplifting, sharing ideas. We know how important information is. You might have somebody on the other side of the country say, "Wow, I didn't know that. I need to know that. Oh, I'm inspired by that." I might be in a dead end job, and perhaps I can get an idea because we bring different people on each and every week. We have Dr. Rowe coming up in the next hour. I'm excited about that as well. She's talking about her experiences. Tiffany, for instance. Now, Tiffany is into filmmaking. Okay. Now, Tiffany, how does that with your ministry, does that translate somehow into the way you produce uh, your material, a film, or whatever it is? Does that come into play?
Uh, well, right now I'm doing work for clients, so it's really whatever their stories are,
Okay, I got
and
you.
and so I work for them, so to speak. So it may not have anything to do with the church, to be honest. And so my job for them is just to get it out. But again, um, I start with conversation. So even though I might be doing a different type of story, somehow down the line, God will come up. You know what I mean? So whether they are a believer or not, He's gonna come up. And so I will talk to them, like, let them know, like, what I'm okay with doing or what I'm not okay with doing, you know what I mean? Because of my own personal moral beliefs.
I understand.
And so in a way, uh it does, and then again it doesn't. But that's why I said earlier, for me personally, it starts with conversation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Uh, uh, Patricia, you mentioned some things that you are doing right now, like I said, outside of ministry. But seems like to me that your life is still uh, it's still sinners. Whatever you do is something that is centered by your ministry itself. Can you tell us in what ways that happens? I know you mentioned some things that you're doing outside of preaching, but how does that affect your everyday life and the things that the works that you do?
Uh, well, first of all, we're all blessed to be a blessing. And from that, I just take that with me. I can meet people on the street and they just look at me and they start talking. And like Tiffany said before the end, God's brought up. Um, I just take it with me. That's the only way I can explain it. It's kind of hard to really explain this, but I'm the type of person, if something needs to be done, I'll get it done. If you ask me, I'll do it. I don't like to say yes and then I don't follow through, um, because that eats at my soul. But I try to look positive on everything. Um, that way, I know I'm on the right path. God would tell me when I'm not on the right path. I mean, you see a lot of people at traffic lights and they're out there asking for money and everything. God has to tell me, give that person the money or I won't do it because I got to figure out stuff. I try to move away from what I want to do to what God wants me to do. If that makes sense, I don't know if that's making sense to you.
It
Yes,
makes
it's
sense.
It
reaching us.
does. Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
because there was like our church anniversary was back in October, and unfortunately, we had two raccoons that got into our church and tore it up. So we were downstairs in the Family Life Center, and our church anniversary was 216 years old. And so our pastor had preached a message that day. And he said, "Oh, let me see what I'm going to do." So he pulled out $100 bill. Then he pulled out a 10. Then he said, "This is not enough." Then he pulled out a 5 and said, "This is not enough." And then he pulled out a 1 and he just said, God says, "Ask not, have not." Ask, And so he says, "Does anyone need this?" And no one moved because they didn't know if he was for real or not. So his sister went up and took it. And he said there was one special person that he thought would come up to get it. And so that afternoon I went home and God started speaking to me. And so the next 2 days I went to church and I went to his wife and I said, "Here, this is the $216 to the person that he said he thought would come up." And I said, "Do not tell me who it is, because God wants me to bless that person. Because if I know who it is, I might not want to bless them because I'm human." But not knowing who it was, that person was blessed. I tried to look at it this way. I can do more out in the city with other people than I can sitting in that church every Sunday and just listen to the sermon. Does that make sense?
That makes
It
sense.
makes sense.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I bless your heart that you were able to be able to make that monetary contribution to bless somebody else. We're doing a thing at my church where we're trying to give back to Virginia State. You're going to have $150,000 endowment. Is that correct, Clayton?
Yes, it's called the Sankofa Project.
Right. And our pastor is also a member of Groove.
Yes.
Hmm.
And he did not go to a HBCU, but he has a fond respect for HBCUs. And he actually had the president of Virginia State to come give a Sunday service
Yeah.
at our church about maybe 6 months ago. Very enlightening just to know the history of Virginia State. Now, I went to Virginia Union. I was very impressed with the history of Virginia State. Very
Of
impressed.
course, of course you were.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord, help
Hey,
me.
Absolutely.
all right.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the set. None other than Dr. Rowe. Hey, Dr. Rowe,
My sweet
Hi.
mama.
how are you?
Hello, Dr. Rowe.
All
How are
right.
you?
Outstanding. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Like I said, Clayton, he's mighty popular. He has, two of the swings personally here on the
Yes,
set
Yes,
here.
yes.
we had a very strong,
Representing.
we had a very strong swing presence on Virginia State, and very
Yes.
beautiful sisters, and I'll never forget you guys.
Wow, wow, wow. Dr. Rowe, I
Yes.
had the pleasure of meeting you. I followed you. I was in California, and I used to follow you because you are a TV and radio personality. If do I have that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and
And I
also,
walk on water.
yeah,
I
all of
speak to
that.
5,000.
Okay. I'm going to love this already. I'm loving this already. As a matter of fact, we had a fun conversation. I had no idea she was a swing. I was in California, Southern California, and I would see her from time to time, on TV or listen to one of her broadcasts. But I had no idea she was a swing. And this is what we were saying, Dr. Wynn, like I was saying to you. When we came up with this broadcast, I used to do a program called Groove Talk Radio in
Yeah.
Southern California. And I wanted, when I moved out here, I hooked up with Sister Rock. Again, I can't give her enough credit because
Yes.
she is absolutely magnificent. She won't come on. We're going to try to get her on the broadcast, but she's working behind the scenes and she's making the thing happen. These things happen with you swing sisters, and I couldn't be prouder.
She's the
Come in here.
glue. Yeah.
I'll be very, very short. Come in here. I want to do something with grooves and swings and connect the dots. In other words, let grooves and swings speak and talk to one another around the country. Whatever ideas, whatever plans you have, events, and we also want to share our knowledge, whether it's
Yes.
education. We can talk about medicine. We can talk about architecture. We can talk about so many things. And
Yeah.
we here is to uplift, educate, and to inspire. Welcome to the set, Dr. Rowe. No one can tell your story better than you can. So I want you to tell the world, who is Dr. Rowe?
Well, I'm a by trade or profession, I'm a nutritionist. However, um, I guess you're asking me for sort of my resume.
Yes,
You want to know what I've done and what I do.
absolutely.
So, well, it all started at Virginia State, by the way, because that's where I majored in nutrition and got a degree in nutrition. Um, Helped my colleagues and classmates to get healthy as undergrads, and then I worked in clinical settings, meaning hospitals and nursing homes. I taught for a bit. I went to graduate school at Howard, and so I did my PhD and my master's degree at Howard. But the reason I do all of this and the reason I've done anything is because I come from. So my family's from Virginia, outside of Charlottesville. And I come from a long line of country people whose eating habits were abominable and who suffered, in many cases, uh, the chronic diseases that we as a community suffer from disproportionately. And so I wanted to help. I mean, I was born to help. I'm a born helper. And so I wanted to help my family first. And then um, doing television and radio led me to wanting to help, first of all, my community, because my community, when I looked at my community, I found that the same diseases that my family was suffering were the same things that was happening to my friends and their families. So the same thing in my house, it was in most everybody else's house in the community. And so then after going to taking my act to television, if you will, I started out as medical correspondent on BET News. I went on to host Heart and Soul on BET and did a lot of good work there. So but then I left there and went to national syndication. So the Oz show I did for 7 seasons, 7 years, helped 1.5 million people lose more than over 6 million pounds. And just I did a lot of daytime television. So that brings me to where I am now, or where I'm headed. I guess we'll talk about that whenever you're ready. But
I've been holding that.
Yeah, I'm headed to a new thing, but we'll get into that. But yeah, so it really started out with my wanting to help my people, and it morphed into me helping the country.
Well, it sounds like at a very young age you recognize the problem, and you were in search of a solution. And I'm trying to, when you're in college, like a lot of people, they aren't even thinking about things like that. Well, you go there, study, get good grades, but and you plan to graduate. But I'm trying to think there's something deeper than that that made you recognize at an early age, women, hold, there's a problem here.
Hmm.
And how did that lead you to saying, okay, then it must be the eating habits? I mean, I'm trying to find the inspiration behind that, or the motivating factor that says, okay, this is a problem here. I'm identifying the problem now. I want to do something about it. I
Okay.
mean, how did that come about at such a very early age?
So actually, it started earlier. I was 7. Okay, so let me back this story up. My mother um, owned a juke joint in Virginia. Okay, and we would come down to the juke joint every Friday night because she
Mhm.
would open it on Friday and Saturday nights. For those who don't know what a juke joint is, it is a place where Black people went to let their hair down when they couldn't get in other establishments in the
Right.
50s and 60s, right? So think Miss Seeley in The Color Purple.
Right.
That was my mama. But during the week, she ran a taxi business in DC. And so, but one of the things that she could not train, as smart as she was, and as much business sense as she had, she
Yeah.
was not able to transfer that energy into taking care of herself. So I lost my mother to stomach cancer at 9.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Um, I would tell you that during the time that she was being seen, I incidentally at Freedman's Hospital, which is now called Howard University Hospital, but it used to be called Freedman's Hospital.
Mhm.
So she was seen there, and one of her really good friends was an outpatient dietitian, Mrs. Kavanaugh. And so when my mother was being seen by the doctor, I spent time in Mrs. Kavanaugh's office, and the it whatever happened in the ether of her office somehow seeped into me. And I will
Mhm.
say that her job was, as the outpatient dietitian, her job was to counsel people who came into her office, and those at home and those in the hospital, right? And so all I can tell you is that I listened to the conversations that were happening there, and what I realized was what she told them, they would get better. So
Mm.
she was talking to her patients who were all Black people. It's Howard. It's Leroy Park, right? And
Right.
so she would talk to them, and the things that she told them to do, the foods that she told them to eat. I just remember that these people got better as they came back to see her. Time after time, they were getting better, and I remembered that when it was time to choose what I was going to do when I went to college. And I mean, my mother, my guardian who succeeded my mother in caring for me, threw spaghetti on the wall. She gave me the opportunity and exposure to look at a lot of options. But somehow, my first nutrition class, I just said, I'm going to go do this nutrition thing. If it doesn't work out, I'll be a lawyer. I love to talk. Um, and so I'll do something else. But my first nutrition class, I was in. From the first class, I was like, this is me. This is what I'm
Right.
supposed to be. I just knew as a freshman that it was what I was supposed to be doing. And so I did it, and I've done it ever since then. When I went to Virginia State, I also learned that I had a gift for spoken word and poetry. I used to perform poetry on front campus for the upperclassmen all the time, right? But I was a student organizer for Stokely Carmichael's All African People's Revolutionary Party. And so a lot of people thought I was a poli sci major because I was very much into leading demonstrations
Yeah.
and yeah,
He did a
but
lot.
yeah,
He did a lot of
You
that.
you you're radical back then. Were you radical?
I'm still radical, Brother William. That's not going to change. That is who I am.
Well, I love that. And and you say at a very early age you were inspired by this doctor, and you knew there was a problem in the community, and you said at the age of 6 or 7 you
7.
recognized what the problem was. Now, when you met or were going around and being around Dr. Kavanaugh, it's Dr. Kavanaugh,
She
wasn't
was
it?
a dietitian, so she had a
Okay,
master's degree. She didn't do the doctorate. But let me just say this really quickly. At the age of 7, one day I'm playing on the playground with my second grade classmate. His name is
okay.
Carl. Carl says to me, "My daddy had to have his legs cut off.
Oh no,
We're on the monkey bars, right?" And
right.
he says his dad had to have his legs cut off. Now this is horrific to me because
Of course.
I'm a visual learner, so imagery, right?
Mhm.
Are images to me. So when I go into the house, I say to my mom, "Listen, Carl's dad had to have his legs cut off. Why
Mm.
would that be?" And she goes, and she's in there cooking up something high fat, I'm sure, but she was stirring the pot, and she says, "Oh, he got a touch of sugar."
Right.
Mm.
A touch of sugar, as
Yes.
if it's
They
nothing.
used to say that a lot back in the day, didn't they? He's
Right,
got
right,
sugar.
a touch of sugar. Black folks want to sweeten everything up, but it was dastardly. You know what I mean? His diabetes led him to to have amputations.
Right.
Mm.
So at 7, and I never forgot that story. So at 7, it seeped in. And by the time I got to college, I was really sure from the very first nutrition class was that I was in the right place. And I knew that I could help people to have better lives through the foods that they ate. But I needed to give them the information.
Hmm.
And that's
Right,
where television came in.
right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Brother Robert. Okay, what do you have for sister? I mean, Dr. Rowe.
I'm still your sister.
Yeah.
I call him
Yeah,
mine.
Let me put it like this. Sister Dr. Rowe. How would that? Is that good?
Clayton, don't do it. Don't do
uh,
it.
thank you for being here. My question is basically, what are the overall benefits of having better nutrition plans and better nutritional habits?
Life, quality of life. I
Mhm.
mean, you having better nutritional habits or better habits, lifestyle habits in general, meaning your food, meaning your activity, so your exercise, and the foods that you eat and the way you prepare them, and how much you eat. All of those things go to, if you choose the right ones, they go to help stave off these chronic diseases that we hear too much about, that we're always talking about: heart disease, type 2 diabetes,
Mhm.
hypertension, chronic kidney disease happens to be one as well. So they help to stave off those chronic diseases if you keep your body moving, because we're created to be dynamic beings. We were not created to be sedentary beings, which is the life that we live now. We live more sedentary lives, and that's in part killing us. Also,
Mm,
the foods that we eat, if we don't make better choices, like, you know i i I advocate for copious amounts of colorful vegetables and fruit always. um, Whole grains, lean, proteins, and all of your protein doesn't always have to be meat, fish, or chicken, or turkey. It can be, but you can also use beans. You can use legumes like, peanuts, like, lentils, uh,
Mhm.
and beans. So I'm just saying, the more of those foods that we eat in the proper amounts, based on your body's, um, need for those nutrients, the overall benefit is that you get to live a high quality life. The downside is, don't do these things, and you're going to find yourself in the opposite position.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense. We had a brother from Virginia Union that he was a vegetarian, but he was the full size vegetarian I ever seen, named Robert Wright. They call him Gangster Rob.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Always
Oh,
ate
brother.
beans and peanuts. You couldn't go on a road trip with him after eating them beans.
Right.
Nobody wanted to go on a road trip with Rob. But When I speak of you, I used to call you Bunny, but when I speak of you, Dr. Rowe,
Uh-huh.
I often think of Michelle Obama when she
Mm.
did her nutrition bit trying to get school
Yes.
menus changed and
Hmm.
how much backlash she got from, the other party
I did it
for doing
before
it.
her, before she got there. As a matter of fact, do you remember the pyramid? Do
Yeah.
you remember?
Yeah,
Do
Yeah,
you,
the
food.
pyramid of triangle foods
yes,
in the
yes,
Yeah,
pyramid. Yeah.
coming
basics.
from USDA.
Right.
Well,
Mhm.
my first book is called Dr. Rowe's 10 Secrets to Living Healthy, and the book got a lot of it got in the hands of a lot of people. I'll say that.
Okay.
Okay.
One
Hmm.
day, I get a call from USDA, and they want to know because I wrote about the pyramid and how, in fact, we do not eat on pyramids and how the pyramid was wrong. It was set up wrong.
It is.
Okay.
At the base they had meat and fats and I was like, but you need to have plant foods. You need to have vegetables and fruit. That should be at the base, and we go up from there. But and they wanted to know, and I said, we don't eat off of pyramids. We eat from plates. People eat on plates.
Yeah.
So the people that you think you're reaching, you're not reaching. I was touring the country with that book, and I mean, throngs of people, thousands at many speaking engagements, thousands of people, and they would come up to me and say, "Look, we don't know anything about this pyramid. They didn't know. They didn't care either." And so when USDA called and says, we want to talk to you because we'd like to know why you're putting out the messages you're putting out, I'm saying because they're real, they're accessible, and people can relate to them. Your pyramid, on the other hand, they're not relating to.
Hmm.
And so, they tried 3 times to hire me.
Wow.
But I didn't want to go because I knew that I would be restrained and I wouldn't be
Hmm.
able to. I was doing television and I wanted to do more television. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to work for you and say what I want to say and do what I want to do. And I might
Mhm.
have to interview you, which I will. And so, yeah, I wanted to remain a free agent.
Got it.
But Dr. Rowe, my friend, I have been following you since BET and all the other segments that you have been a part of, and thank you for possibly saving the lives of a lot of people because obesity was a problem and still is. But I have a couple of questions. Some of the things that I like to eat, like tomato, peanuts, things of that nature, they
Hmm.
said that once was good for you, now it's bad.
So, who's they?
Well, I've heard it on nutrition programs on TV. I cannot call the person's name,
Okay.
uh, and I've also seen it on online that tomatoes are not that good for you. Certain types of peanuts, there's certain nuts that are good for you, and certain beans.
So here's what I would say. To the extent that you can get the greatest amount of plant foods in your diet with the greatest span of color, variation of color, the healthier you're going to be. I have no qualms with peanuts nor tomatoes. Tomatoes are a fruit, um, and they're just as good a fruit as any other fruit, right? I have no problems with tomatoes. Unless you had some problem with acidity due to having, tomatoes, which can be acidic. I don't have a problem with eating tomatoes. In fact, I eat them regularly, right?
Right.
Um, I would tell you that when it comes to fruits and vegetables, you want a variety, okay? And you want those that are colorful. There are chemical compounds called antioxidants and phytochemicals in their in those fruits and vegetables. Those those chemical compounds are what gives the vegetable and fruit its pigment and its color, right? And those chemical compounds can literally save your life.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
They can save your life. So I say, eat the rainbow. And anytime you hear advice that you are told to cut out a food group, like a group of food, and some specific foods. Do your research, because if you can't cut out an entire food group, because there you're cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Mm.
I understand.
And
But you
there's
know that,
no one food, there's no single food.
okay.
Eggs are probably the thing that come closest, but there is no single food that has all the nutrients your body requires in the proper amounts.
Well,
Not one.
let me ask you this real quick, and excuse me.
Mhm.
There are Could there be some foods that are anti-inflammatory that or some that could cause joints and aches and pains?
That, well, you're asking, are there inflammatory, not anti-inflammatory? Because anti-inflammatory is good. If it's anti-inflammatory, that's a good thing. It means it doesn't cause inflammation.
Yeah,
Inflammatory is bad. That means it does cause inflammation and out cause inflammation. And I would tell you that the biggest offender, when it comes to inflammation, is sugar,
it's sugar.
added sugar. Cut added sugar to the greatest extent possible.
That's
What
bad.
about salt?
Lower your salt
Okay.
because sodium, is a factor that can lead to hypertension and kidney disorders.
Okay.
Also, I would say, cut to the greatest extent possible highly processed foods. So, to give you an example, so olives in a jar are minimally processed foods. That's a
Mm.
good thing. Highly processed foods on the other end of the spectrum are things like bacon, sausage, lunch meat, cold cuts. Those are highly processed foods. And also, other highly processed foods are foods that you might find in a box or a bag. And if you leave it alone and you walk away, uh, and it's still good like months later, no, we don't want to have a lot of that.
But you know how funny you said that because bread seems to last a lot longer now than it used to.
Highly processed. Now, let me tell you what bread doesn't. Dave's bread, because it's natural, and by natural I mean good. It's
Mm-hmm.
it um Ezekiel breads and cereals, because they are made of real grains
I'm
and
not
not
Okay.
familiar with those. Where
flour.
do you find those products?
Said, in your regular grocery store.
You can find them at Whole Foods. Whole Foods, I know, has
I
And
Dave's
you,
don't. I don't
Dave's
bread.
bread
frequent.
and Ezekiel breads and cereals, and you can also find breads and cereals like this in Trader Joe's, which is a lot less expensive than Whole Foods.
Well, you know, I'm bougie, so I go to Whole Foods.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right, boo. I see you,
Yeah.
bougie. Do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead, Rob. Jump in there, man.
What about, say, for instance, when it comes down to, I know some people tend to like, cooking, um, and sometimes they use oils.
Mm.
What's a suggested type of oil, if any, to use? Because
Oh,
sometimes
absolutely.
I use.
Extra virgin olive oil
yeah, we use that.
is my favorite, is my go-to oil. If you are, and you can use it sauteing, pan frying, um, in salad dressings. Like my favorite salad dressing is two ingredients: it's extra virgin olive oil and white balsamic vinegar. That's it.
Okay.
You do that, you'll never have to buy another prepared salad dressing as long as you live, if you don't want to. If you want to make it a fruited dressing like, raspberry vinaigrette or blueberry vinaigrette or whatever, you could just add that to those two ingredients, mix it up, and that's it. I would say if you are pan frying, sometimes you might, try grapeseed oil because it has a lower smoking point. So it's not going to burn your food up before it's ready. But extra virgin olive oil, I use it for everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got one question.
Oh,
It's
just one?
Well, yeah, this is a big one because this is an argument that we have at work all the time. I love salads.
Okay.
Now,
See,
I like blue cheese. I don't like that vinaigrette stuff. I like blue cheese,
Oh,
but
blue cheese dressing.
yes.
Okay.
But we argue over spinach versus lettuce. I don't like lettuce because I think it has no nutritional
yeah,
values. It's
we use
just
that.
Well,
a lot of.
some lettuce.
Okay, so can you kind of like expound on lettuce.
So iceberg lettuce basically is water.
Right.
Very little nutritional value. Romaine lettuce is has more nutrition, much more nutritional value. Spinach, even more nutritional value. Arugula, which is really not a lettuce, it's an herb, but we use it like a lettuce. It has a very peppery flavor. Um, and for some people, it's an acquired taste. I think if you add a few cranberries, throw in some walnuts, and put your salad dressing in there with the arugula,
Yeah.
you good.
Okay, arugula. I
Yeah,
got to find that.
Mm.
yeah.
Okay.
I like that, Dr. Rowe. I use in my salads, like I'll have a salad and I'll put a baby spinach in it,
Hmm.
raw spinach. Okay, I want you, and then I'll put my dressing. I have to admit, I use two blue cheese and Italian. Okay,
Okay.
all right, but however, it's
I
not.
mean, it's whatever you like. I'm just giving you another option. So,
Yes.
you
No,
know.
I like. No, I'm not arguing at that. I'm listening carefully,
Hmm.
and since the strawberries are here, have they're bitter. I cut up an apple and put it
Hmm.
in my and turkey and uh, cucumbers. You know.
Do you eat the skin on the apple?
Yes.
Okay, good, because the skin of the apple has a soluble fiber that can
Hmm.
help, stave off heart disease.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It
Now I
helps.
also
It
eat the
helps your heart.
skin on my cucumbers. I leave the skin on that too. I'll chop, slice it,
Hmm.
and the skin on the cucumber.
Good for you. Good for
Okay.
you.
Now I'm not saying I'm a health nut. I should be more of a healthy person, but spinach. And if I have a salad, say I'm gonna get a sandwich or something like that, I'll have maybe turkey,
Hmm.
spinach, and tomatoes on it
Okay.
because I'm not a big lettuce fan either. But anyway,
Okay.
this is fascinating. I
Hey,
really
Dr. Rowe, do you
Yes.
find that we have gotten better as eaters and living a little longer than we were?
Have we gotten better?
Yeah.
Uh, no. You know why?
wow.
Because of the convenience of our food in today's world. So we eat so many
Hmm.
convenience foods, ready prepared foods. So actually, I don't think we're eating better. I think we're eating worse. And I also know that we are more sedentary than we've ever been before.
Yeah.
Like our foremothers and fathers walked. We know they worked. They did manual labor.
Hmm.
They grew
Um,
their own food too. They had their own gardens.
They grew their own food. My uncle right next door to me right now plants a garden every year. And he's 86 now.
Wow.
He's
And
still
you say he's right next to you.
he's right next to me. So yes. So I
I
got
love it.
part of the grocery store right out there, right outside. But yeah, our foremothers and fathers lived in many ways. They had better lives than us. I mean, in terms of just this one subject, the food and physical activity, they had it going on. Even though they ate things like chitlins and pig's feet and
Yeah.
ham hocks. I don't use meat in my greens at all, and they are so good they'll make you want to smack your mama.
Now, what do you put in your greens to give them flavor?
So at the end, I will do a little. You could do vinegar if you want, apple
Okay.
cider vinegar, but I'll do um, red cayenne pepper, and my secret is lemon juice at the
Hmm.
Mm,
end. At the end.
mm.
So and then if you want, you could put on some hot sauce because a lot of people like hot sauce on their greens. I do too. But yeah, I serve my greens with a lemon wedge, so you can take that and squeeze the juice on your greens.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it is it's good. I did this recipe for about 300 people in the room, and they were like, I don't know how many people online that were following us. And
Mhm.
listen, the room went crazy.
I bet.
They loved
So,
it.
so what do you think about liquid smoke? A lot of people are using that now.
Liquid smoke is good in greens. It's good. I use
Hmm.
that recipe. I used to put liquid smoke in my green way back like 20 years ago from when my first book came out.
Okay.
Amazing, amazing. Now let me ask you this: uh, beef bouillon or no?
Beef bouillon is
Salty.
it's very yeah, it has a lot of sodium. It's high in sodium.
Okay.
Bouillon, all bouillon for the most part is high in sodium.
So that's a no.
I use a little bit.
You,
Wait, now,
that
okay.
is a
Let's
wild
ask the
side,
question:
huh?
Chicken.
in
Chicken.
moderation, in
Yeah.
moderation, is
In
it okay?
moderation, I mean, if you are, just put it this way: if you are hypertensive, you don't want to go with beef bouillon, right?
Uh oh, I better leave it
So, yeah,
alone.
because he's
So you
very
could, but you could do a beef, but you could do a beef broth, and you can do a reduced sodium beef broth. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could
Huh.
do that if you're hypertensive. If you are borderline hypertensive, you don't want to have more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Now, Dr. Rowe, I have a question. A couple of questions.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of us taking different medications for whatever the doctors give us,
Hmm.
and sometimes it seems like they're giving you stuff just to try.
Mm,
And I know this is probably uh, it plays along with being a nutritionist, I believe, because whatever you take in your body, you have to be concerned about. Correct? So,
Yes.
what are we doing nowadays as far as these medications and accepting these medications that we're putting in our bodies that are destroying us?
Well, some medications, we just need. And, you
True.
know, so I think you have to have a solid relationship with your physician, with your family doctor, or whoever it is you see for your medical treatment. You got to have and have them have honest conversation with you about where you are, and that's based on tests, you blood tests, other tests based on what it is that you're looking for. But I think, like my family doctor and I, we have a great relationship, right? I tell him or her what I feel is happening, and sometimes they come back and say, "Well, no, this is definitely not happening." But my husband was
excuse me.
a physician for over 30 years,
Mm,
and God rest his soul. And um I will tell you that he on this subject, he always taught us, his family, that when you see, if we're seeing a doctor other than him or one of our friends, but if you're seeing a doctor and you feel like, or you're not sure about the advice you're being given, the rate limiting step is this. The question to ask that physician is this: what would you do if this was your mother or your father,
mhm,
or if I was your brother? What
mm,
would you tell me then?
mhm,
Hmm.
Because that's the question. And if they're honest about it, and most of them will be, right? Because they're not expecting this to come from you. These are questions that they ask themselves.
mhm,
So if they're honest about it, you're going to get honest and good treatment. You have to be in partnership with your physician, if
mhm,
Right.
that makes sense. You're not just sitting back listening to everything, nor are you going in challenging everything. You have to have a partnership. So you establish a working partnership. Whereas if you say that you something hurts, absolutely he takes you at your word. Or if you say there's anything going wrong, he or she takes you at your word. But ask that one question.
Yeah.
What would you do if this were your brother? Like, so you're a man, you're talking to him. If I were your brother, what would you tell me?
And
mm.
I've asked that question to my physicians as well. I put
That's
them
a
on the
great
chopping
question.
block. Now,
Yeah.
my second question was externally, when you're putting things on your outside body, which
Hmm.
been told and known that these things do penetrate, and how much of those like soaps, lotions, things of that nature affect
Listen,
internally.
we live in a toxic world. Hear me
Mhm,
when I say we do. We live in a toxic world, and this is not going to be a popular statement, but it's true. This toxic world is trying to kill us every single day. It
mhm,
Yeah.
is trying to kill us every day,
Uh-huh.
in the water, in the food, in the not only the medicines, in the air, in the potions and lotions that we put on our skin to smell better or to look, or to make it look better. We live in a toxic world, and we have to live with the fact that there's toxicity all around us, all in us, and that's just what it is. So unless you want to use all natural everything, which most people are not willing to do,
Right.
That's right.
including myself. I mean, the perfume I like it. It's not natural, right?
Right.
So there's some things that we're going to do. The best thing you can do is offset, the effect of the toxic world in which we live by making better choices. That is
Hmm.
the best thing you can do, right?
Hmm.
And there's one
Understood.
more thing you can do, because we've been talking a lot about the physical manifestations of how we live, but there are
Right.
the mental manifestations, and I would say these are bigger and greater than our mental health is bigger than our physical health. They
Yes.
both are important, but we are not giving the mental health the attention that it needs.
Hmm.
We've been talking about that on the show quite often.
Yeah,
For yeah, almost every week we tie in mental health into our segment. And we was
because it's
just talking
needed.
to the other sisters who are ministers about, just following that path and
Yes.
do as right as you possibly can to get that stress off you in a nutshell.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes, we do. We talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to take care of ourselves, not just physically, but mentally. We have
Yes.
to watch our inside conversation that we have with ourselves.
Yeah.
There are people walking around every day that are telling themselves that they're stupid, or they don't count, or they don't have it, or that they're talking against themselves. They're voting against themselves mentally every single day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We got to watch our inside conversation. When a thought creeps up in your head that says you can't do something, or oh no, that's not going to work for you, you got to turn that around.
Hmm.
That's
You
right.
have to pay attention to who's talking. It's a psyche. Every one of us, all human beings are born with what's called a psyche. That is the voice that we hear. Eckhart Tolle says, um, aren't we all a little bit crazy? He said, if
Hmm.
talking out loud, he said, talking to yourself, if that's crazy, then aren't we all a little bit crazy? He's right, because it's the psyche that's talking. The question becomes, how is it talking to you? Do you talk loving? Do you speak lovingly to yourself? Or do you speak in a way where you admonish yourself?
Hmm.
You see what I mean? My
Understood.
psyche is my best friend, always has been, thank God.
Hmm.
But everybody doesn't have that. But you have to learn to cultivate it. If you don't have it, you got to cultivate it.
That's so true.
You're exactly right.
Because it is the thing that will take you down and take you out.
Isn't that so true?
Yes.
Absolutely true.
Dr. O, I'm glad you're saying that because, like Clayton said, and Robert and Tiffany and Craig can attest, we talk about mental health a lot, and
And you do
because
it
we
by,
know that's where it isn't that where it all starts.
yes.
Isn't that where it has to?
If
And
you
I
don't
remember
love yourself, you're not going to put the right foods in your body. You don't
you can't.
care.
That's right. That's
You have to
exactly right.
love yourself enough to make these changes that we've been talking about.
Mhm. I
That
know for
is
myself.
self-love. That's self-love, and it's also self-care. Because a lot of people think self-care is about a whole bunch of bubble baths and lighting candles. No,
Mm,
yeah, it's self-care is a great deal more than that.
isn't that something?
Yeah.
Tiffany has put in the chat there. Life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes.
deep. That's deep.
Yes.
And I tell you, we all, as humans, we all faces challenges. We may
Yeah.
not have the same challenge, but we have challenges. And sometimes those challenges, if we let it overwhelm us, it can put us into a doubting mood when you start
Yes.
doubting yourself. And I recall catching myself a few days ago because I had some major challenges that I have to deal with,
Mhm.
and I started beginning to worry.
Mhm.
And look, if I talk to myself, I do. Then
Mhm.
I'm crazy. If people say that, I don't care.
Mhm.
This is my life.
Well, they
And
have a psyche too, so
but yes, I had to say, women, hold it. William, there's a problem. Okay, then how do you fix it? Okay.
Mhm.
How do you fix that problem? Okay. What are some of the things that you can do to rectify this situation? And instead of
Mhm.
sitting around worrying about it, do something about it. Do something
Something
about it.
that's proactive rather than
Proactive,
reactive.
positive. Yeah, absolutely. Towards addressing the issue. And then I went a step further. I said, now you're going to feel better because you would have or will solve this problem. Okay, you can feel better about yourself.
Mhm.
So when you get up, make those phone calls, get excited about the opportunity to be able to take care of those issues that you're being burdened with right now. And that was my take on that. I felt a lot
I
better.
love it. I love it.
Absolutely. Tiffany, you mentioned in your comment, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Expound on that, and then whatever questions you want to ask Dr. O, feel free.
That's a Bible verse. I can't recall exactly where. I don't know, Clayton. I think is it in Proverbs or Psalms?
I'm not familiar with exactly where it is, so I wouldn't be telling
I'll
you.
I'll find it.
But it
But yeah,
is a
it's
Bible
a,
verse. I
Yeah,
know that.
it is a Bible verse.
Mhm.
yeah, it's a Bible verse. Basically, whatever you say, that's what's gonna be.
Hmm.
I have a male relative right now who I spoke with a couple of days ago, and he can be so pessimistic at times, and it's just like what is wrong with you? Because he'll
Mhm.
say something like, you better hurry up and do this because I ain't gonna be here much longer. I'm
Wow.
like, why would you say stuff like that? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But whatever you say, that's what's going to end up being, unless God Himself, intervenes. And sometimes He won't, because He's going to allow you to make your own decisions.
Mhm.
But I have to keep telling them, like, hey, you need to watch what you say. You know what I mean? You have to watch what you say, because whether you want it to be true or not, let's say you want something, let's say you want something positive to happen, then you got to start talking positive, you got to start thinking positive. And
Mhm.
hold on one second, I got to get my puppy. Go ahead, go to the next.
Take care. Yeah, yeah. Dr. Rowe, yeah, she is so right, and you are definitely so right. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that because we can, remember growing up, your parents says, or you heard people say, not necessarily to you,
Mhm.
but to maybe some of the other friends, you're going to worry yourself to
To
death.
death.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, I want you to expound on that, and how do we? Are there any things that you might do that give yourself uh, 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 uplifting? Are there some techniques that you use to keep yourself uplifted? I think that's where I'm going with that.
Mm. So I do meditate.
Okay.
Prayer is my jam. That's my go-to position. In the morning, at night, all throughout the day.
Hmm.
Because I do not believe that it's me that's doing everything. Um, I don't. I've learned not to rely on my small little power when I know that there's an ultimate power from which I can draw strength and energy. So I rely on God.
Hmm.
So that in saying that, and also I read. So I would there's a whole list. And I just realized that I could be using this list. I will use this list. I'll share it. But there's a reading list that I think is powerful in speaking to yourself
Hmm.
lovingly, and in being your own best friend. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements by
Yes.
okay, The Four Agreements. Also, The Alchemist.
Hmm.
Um, also,
All Aquelo.
yes, yes, Paulo Coelho. So, The Alchemist, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The Power of Now. The only moment we have, the only real time we have, moment to moment, is now. And the question becomes, what will we do now. It's about living, it's about being present for your life. It's about living your life in a way that you're paying full attention to the moment, not looking ahead nor looking back. We have a tendency sometimes to look back at the closed door, expecting something to happen or something to change. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's a closed door. It's that moment is over. So it can't change and be anything other than what it was. We have to figure out how do we get in with the moment that we're in now,
Mhm.
and make something good from that.
Right,
Right.
right. Dr. Rowe, I was one of my favorite books, and I used to give this away to my salespeople.
Hmm.
And it was called "The Greatest Salesman in the World"
Yes.
by
I have
Mandino.
the entire set
Wow,
by Odd Mandino.
Mandino, you exactly
Yes.
right. And speaking of sales, I'm looking at your background there. You probably how many hundreds of books do you have back
I
on
do
that
have a
shelf
lot
back
of
there?
books. I do have a
I,
lot of
from
books.
that small screen that I see, snapshot, I said, there's got to be a lot more. And you mentioned something
Mhm.
about reading,
Yeah.
which can help you mentally.
Yes.
And reading, you exactly right. Being around positive people.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I listen to a lot of music. Okay.
I do too. I can't live without music.
Well, you need to check out this station. We're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. All
All right.
right.
I'm talking
Okay.
about music, talk, sports, comedy, entertainment, and a whole lot more. And
Oh,
Robert put up in the comment section earlier, ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That
okay.
is Studio W, The Buzz. Studio W, The
The
Buzz. The
books.
website. This program, I promise you, will be up in less than 24 hours. So if you missed it, you can go back and hear it again and go under. Not only do we have it under archives, we also have it under featured shows. So you'll be able to come back and listen to Dr. Rowe again. Oh God, because I'm just enjoying this. And she's also agreed to come back because we're going to drop another announcement right now. Dr. Rowe, I know you like to give little teasers of
Yeah.
something exciting that you have going on. I
Yeah.
call them cliffhangers. So
Yeah.
how much do you want to tell us about this project that you're uh, embarking on that's about to happen shortly?
So I'm about to next month. I am about to embark on a new project. It is something that I love to do. The only reason I'm not being shady about it.
No.
I'm coveting the information, if you
Right.
will.
She's
'Cause-
teasing.
Big
No,
Yes,
cover.
no,
we're
ladies and
dripping
gentlemen,
it out.
she's teasing you. That's what she's doing.
We're
Go on, sister.
dripping it out, as we get closer. It's going to definitely kick off next month. Um, and you will see me doing and be able to join me
Okay.
doing something that I absolutely love doing, and it is all for the good of the people.
Sounds good.
Great, great.
Sounds
Yeah.
And
good.
you also, after you launched that, we also discussed you coming back on this network, right?
Yes. Yes.
After everything's been disclosed, okay,
Yes.
you stop dropping your little hints, not little hints, your teasers,
My
okay,
teasers.
and
Yes.
you're coming back on because uh, this has been fascinating, and you've been on with us. You've taken your time, 46 minutes. Who's counting, right? 48 minutes, but you've taken your time because I know you're a busy woman and just doing your thing. And this is such a delight. There's so much we can cover. I'm not going to hog the set. Craig, you have anything you want to say?
No, she's basically done a lot. I just want to thank you for all your contributions you've done.
Oh,
Sister Rose,
absolutely.
you've done a great job for yourself. And you
Thank,
really represented the swing groove family very well.
thank
Okay.
you.
And
Thank you.
Ronnie White just sent me a text, told me to tell you hello.
Yeah.
Oh, hello,
Not
Ronnie.
only that, she represented our community. And this is what it's all about. I am so happy that she's I'm excited about it uh, because you have a lot to say, a lot of information, And I tell you, going back to what you said while you were at Virginia State as a freshman,
Yes.
you knew what you were going to do. How many
Yes.
of us go to college and we end up changing our major or coming out doing something entirely different uh, that we had thought about or planned about? Uh,
Well,
I
I want to just put this in, may
yeah,
I?
please go on.
So we have another sister. So I talked two other women who
Mm.
were freshmen with me at Virginia State into becoming nutritionists. I talked them into using my major.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
One, and it's Evelyn Clayton. You know
Yeah, I
Evelyn.
know Evelyn.
she's a
Um,
swing also.
Yes.
yeah, she's a swing too.
Okay.
And in fact, she pledged before I did. So Evelyn and then this other young lady who's a Delta, but they went to high school together.
Mhm.
Evelyn used to come. She and some other Catholic school girls used to come and hang out at my high school for the football players.
Right.
But that's another story. But I talked them into changing their majors and becoming and they are nutritionists today.
Isn't that something? Well,
Yes.
do you think
Fantastic.
they would like when you come back on? Would you like to invite them with you?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay, because we got a lot to talk about, and we're gonna get a lot more into not only the what we ingest, eating
Mhm.
wise, but
Mhm.
also what we ingest mentally. And
Yes.
I think this is a conversation that needs to be had. Let's go around the panel real quick. So coming up in May, look out, Dr. Rowe has something special for you. Oh, before I go there, how many books have you written?
3.
Three.
And I'm
Okay.
working on another 2 now.
Okay. Would you tell the audience the title of those books and how they can get them?
So, Lose Your Final 15 is about losing weight 15 pounds at a time. And it's also about living your life 15 minutes at a time. Because I've incorporated in this book, I have over 45 recipes. I have 15-minute workouts. I have 15-minute
Mhm.
meditations because
Wow.
meditation is a part of getting yourself to a calm place. So Lose Your Final 15, this is new out in paperback. It came out in hardcover a couple years ago, but now it's in paperback and it's under my publishing company. I bought my own rights to my own book.
Oh,
But man, this
from,
is so
congratulations.
from
cool.
yeah, from a
This
major
is so
publisher.
cool.
Yes.
Oh, this is what we're talking about because the show is designed about inspiring. Man, I'm certain that you've inspired some people out here today. And I hope, ladies and gentlemen, not only grooves and swings, but invite your family, invite your friends to listen to this broadcast because this is something that can benefit everyone.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is the whole idea. I am so proud of you, my sister.
And how do we go about getting your book?
So go everythingro.com, the word everythingro.com. That's my website and it's sold exclusively at everythingro.com. Make sure you follow me um on Facebook, on Instagram, I'm at Everything Row, and on Facebook I am the number one DRRO um, on Facebook, and everywhere else. I'm at Everything Row.
Okay, on
So
Facebook again at
one Dr. Row. So the number one, and then DRRO.
okay, got it.
Okay, I see it at the
Mm-hmm.
end of your bio.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding,
Yes,
outstanding,
I found it.
outstanding. This is absolutely incredible. What would you say to someone that they've wow they never thought about being a nutritionist? They never thought about this, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be inspired because you make it sound exciting, you know, uh, to be that because it seems like well, no, it doesn't seem like it. It's like you enjoy what you do. It
I
just so
do. I love what I
I
do.
can tell it that feeling of fulfillment, being able to choose a path that makes you happy, and then you at the same time knowing that you're helping someone.
Yeah. When you wake up to help, as I do,
I love this.
this becomes easy. It's not work, right? You know the old adage, like if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
That's right.
So this is that for me.
Mhm.
I love the having the opportunity to speak into people's lives and to help them to solve their problems. So that's what I do in my coaching practice. I help people solve their problems.
Mhm.
The problem starts with food, but it's always bigger than that. It's always
Mhm.
bigger than that.
Hey, think about a counselor or doctor or psychologists, anything like that. The person who's giving out the information, Robert, that is an important part of the treatment. Say you go to someone that has they speak in a monotone, they has a straight look on their face, no smile and anything
Oh,
like that, uh, versus someone like Dr. Rowe. Okay, I mean you're more receptive to taking her information. Look at her smile. Okay.
Yeah, so the inflections, the pace of pacing of the words is definitely important, but
yeah.
you know, tend to hear a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
rather than a person who's robotic
Mm-hmm.
and someone
Oh,
who's pretty much is almost a sense of like, okay, well, you're just giving information, but how are people going to receive that? And I think today a lot of information has been received and will be implemented.
It's
I
like seasoning on the food. It's like
thank
seasoning
you,
on the food,
Robert.
right? Hey, Dr. Ray, it's kind of like seasoning your food.
Oh yeah, and I love seasons. I love seasoning. Yes, I
You know,
like my food highly seasoned.
one last thing, and then you guys could go. We got a few minutes, Clayton. We have a few minutes, Tiffany. Um, I've done shows on sound and the importance of not when we talk about intake and we talk about what you read, you know who you're around, you know the foods that you take, and
Mhm.
also your attitudes or whatever it is. But I'm talking about vibration, sound, and how sound can affect you.
Yes.
You've got music that'll make you mad. You got music to make you sad. You got music to make you happy. Music to make you
Yes.
dance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Some music I just refuse to play on the station. You won't hear heavy metal on this. Okay, that's right.
Okay.
You're not going to hear that. You're not going to hear that punk rock music or any dirty rap.
Mm.
Those are some things that I think that we can do what we're doing and just have a good time without incorporating those things.
Mhm.
Okay, I heard
Mhm.
people say, "Look, you can make a whole lot of money if you play this music." I said, "Well, guess what? I guess I'll struggle for a while."
Mm.
you know,
That's right.
but the
'Cause
importance
it's
of sound.
energy. It's energy.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
expound on that. Yes, sir. And I wanted to know the.
Everything in the universe is energy. We are,
Yeah.
when you hear statements like, "Hey, we're made of the same stuff that the stars and moon are made of," and that's true because we're all energy fields. Human beings, everything and every living thing is also made of energy. Everything in the universe is made of energy. So energy that you put out, you want to be careful about the energy that you put out. Make
Mhm.
it good energy
Make it good.
I love
because
it.
yeah, if not, you're gonna get some bad energy hurled at you.
Yeah, that could be.
And you know, I,
It's called the two laws: the law of attraction, but also
Yes.
the law of vibration.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I love that. I love it. You know, I do a show on Sundays called the Boomerang Radio Show, and that was titled purposely because you know how boomerangs will come back to you.
Yes.
Okay, and just like you said, you throw out a good energy, you're going to get some good energy back. Throw out bad,
Yes.
absolutely. Craig,
Yes.
Craig. Oh,
Oh, I can speak now.
I don't believe this. I don't believe this. No.
Look, I just wanted to say we only got to one book, Doctor Ray.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So two others. The Dr. Rose 10 Secrets to Living Healthy was my first one. And my second one, You Healthy and Happy, Dr. Rose Tips to Living an Inspired Life.
Mm,
I
mm.
like it.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Rowe, one last thing, and then Clayton, you can jump right in. We have another show on Saturday mornings called the Eden as an Act of Worship Ministries radio show.
Mm.
The Eden as an Act of Worship Ministries radio show, hosted by my great friend out of Arkansas, Ann Wooten Taylor. She's also a judge, but she
Okay.
did this. She is she lost I think like 150 pounds through eating properly.
Wow.
Mm.
That's what her show is all about. But she have other, authors and other ministers or whatever, and a lot of great people on her network.
Hmm.
And so perhaps that's on a Saturday morning. Perhaps I would love for you to speak with her. Ann Wooten Taylor, that's a great, great lady. I think you will enjoy. Clayton.
Yes, yes. Dr. Rowe, we appreciate the time that you took to let us just figure it out because there were some other questions I had to ask. You was talking about seasonings.
Hmm.
Now, real quick, there are some seasonings they say are really good for you, like turmeric and garlic and things of that nature. Uh,
Hmm.
I hear a lot about turmeric.
Hmm.
How often do we
So
really need to
turmeric is anti-inflammatory. Remember earlier you asked a
have?
question
Yes,
about inflammation.
yeah, yeah.
Turmeric is actually anti-inflammatory, so it's good. I do turmeric gummies.
Mm,
Whole Foods, Craig, has turmeric gummies, and they are flavored with lemon and ginger. They use lemon and ginger in the gummies.
mm,
Yeah. So, yeah, I like turmeric as an anti-inflammatory agent.
So you shop at Whole Foods?
I do.
Okay. All right. You know what that means, right?
I'm
Go
not
ahead and
bougie.
confess. No, go ahead and confess.
I'm
That's
not
all I
bougie.
see,
No,
see it in Whole Foods.
but
I'm
that's all
not
right.
boo.
And
But
people who like
also shop.
nice things shop
But I
at
also
Whole
shop
Foods.
at Trader Joe's too. I shop everywhere. I shop around.
okay.
Well, I really thank you for sharing that with us, and hopefully, there's some young ladies out there or young men want to go into nutrition and learn more about our bodies
Precisely.
because some of us wait too late to take care of ourselves, and
Hmm.
I'm learning a lot. So my ears are always open, and I appreciate it. And before I go off, I want to thank Reverend Tammy Russell Meadows and also Patricia because I don't see them on live right now, but and also Tiffany.
Hmm.
The whole show was just inspiring for me because what you call energy, I call my spirit,
Hmm.
and I know you do too. I
Hmm.
said, Holy Spirit, go ahead and just clear the path for me. Just
Hmm.
engulf me with your spirit, and I guarantee you my energy is going to be good. So, and I'm going to treat people the way I expect to treat them and be treated. So,
Hmm.
all that positive energy, I'm with you, sister. Hopefully, we'll do more of that. God
Right.
bless you.
Uh,
God bless you all. Thank you for
Dr. Rhodes.
having me.
Oh, anytime, anytime. As a matter of fact, coming back, and like I said, the broadcast, if you like to go back and listen to it again, it will be on Studio W Buzz, and will be under featured shows. Okay.
Okay.
Just put on featured shows, go to Groove Swing Speaks,
Okay.
and all of the broadcasts will be there. But this one in particular, because I thoroughly enjoyed this, I knew it was going to be great. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.